Welcome. You're watching another episode of Epic Sketch Time. I'm your host today. My name is Mark Monlux. We hold Epic Sketch Time every Monday at 4:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, except for federal holidays. And you'll find my information, Mark Monlux, and a link all down below in the description. Gentlemen, who do we have with us today?
Hi, I'm Bill Morse. I'm a illustrator and cartoonist working out of Seattle, Washington, and I also do a webcomic called Rhapsodies. Other people?
Hey everybody, my name is Ian Castruita. I'm a illustrator, cartoonist, and graphic designer working out of Tempe, Arizona. You can find my stuff at unfedartist.com.
Hey everybody, my name is Nguyen. I'm a, graphic artist, cartoonist, character concept designer, and I work out of Toronto. And you can find me at anything with madmonkeylove.com.
Okay.
So what's everybody working on today?
Well, I'll be working on this Game of Thrones illustration I've been playing with for the last few sessions. And I've also, before I dip into that, I figured I'd show off my progress on the Inktober. So if anybody's on, this is what I've got since we've shown them off last. So this one's Cruel and Whale. Clock and Guarded. Angular and Weak, with the angular being a blatant Cabinet of Caligari reference. Swollen and Bottle. Scorched and Broken. And finally, today's and yesterday's, Drain and Expensive.
I really like the bottle one. That one's good.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's sort of, I was kind of doing a riff from Bride of Frankenstein with Dr. Pretorius had a collection of little people in bottles.
So, hang on. Oh, I suppose I should actually share my screen just a moment.
It's 4:30.
So today's contribution was an old horror movie called The Deadly Mantis. Here's another obscure one from the late 80s, Metal Beast.
I would have thought that Deadly Mantis was a little too good for your standards. I mean, I don't know if it was yes, it was a B movie, but it's in all the textbooks I've seen.
Well, I am showing off a lot of bad movies. The main key element is obscure, and I don't think, how many of you guys have watched The Deadly Mantis?
I haven't. I admit I haven't watched it, but I see it referred to constantly.
Yeah, I've never heard of it.
Let's see. Besides The Mental Beast, you might have heard of Reptilicus, which is from Mystery Science Theater 3000. You can watch it there. And a couple days ago, I did one for Razorback, which is a late 70s one set in Australia about a bloodthirsty man-eating pig. Now, there's a new one that recently came out called Boar, basically based on the same principle, except that the boar is really, really big. Well, of course, Razorback was also a pretty big pig.
Yeah, no, because Ian, this is probably your neck of the woods. It always confuses me whether Razorback means a feral pig or if it's a nickname for peccaries.
Actually, I've never heard that. You're talking about javelina?
As a name for Razorback?
Oh, no. Like feral pigs. Actually, we don't get too many in Arizona. We have a javelina, which is kind of like how I've always understood peccary. But
Okay.
yeah, Razorback, I don't know.
Yeah, because I remember when I had I was the one time I didn't see them personally, but the one time I was in your neck of the woods on a business trip, somebody had said that they'd seen some just outside of our hotel.
Yeah. I mean, javelina, you'll see them and everything, but for the most part, like they actually referred to them as Razorback. Is that what you're saying?
That was something that always confused me, whether that was a name for them or for feral domestic pigs.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. I think that's Google. You need to consult.
Yeah, because it's weird. The first time I ever heard the name was as the name of a very, very, very obscure Marvel character who is a trucker superhero who only showed up about 5 times.
So, Ian, what were you working on again? This.
It's just my webcomic. Finishing some inks on something that I had started before and I hadn't gotten around to. So just cleaning up things. And as far as Inktober stuff goes, I pretty much dropped that. I had an opportunity to take on a new client last week, and I spent most of the time working on the contract. And then, I mean, the whole process just kind of went south. So I ended up spending a lot of time for nothing. But it was, it's one of the things I had to give it a shot to see if I can, try to work with them. But it didn't work out, unfortunately. But yeah, between that and just like my regular stuff, I had no time to even think about Inktober. So.
So what you see on my screen is
Oh, is that from Quartermass?
it's called 5 Million Years to Earth, which is Quartermass.
Uh-huh. It's funny, I don't think I'd ever seen anything besides the profile of them in either the reference pictures or the movie.
Oh, but there's definitely a straight-on shot of
Uh-huh.
Oh, pardon me. That's Stowe is asking if we see him at all.
Nothing yet.
Oh. I think you're watching and not participating. Period.
Oh, you're sending it. I was like,
I was sending a text to Stowe.
yeah, I got it.
I suggest you close out the browser entirely and go to the email link that I'm going to send you right now via your email, period. Did I say email link enough? Period.
I think
I'll try this one more time with him. hopefully that worked. So, Ian, where are you seeing the chat?
So on hangouts.google.com, if you're logged into there, you'll see all your conversation histories, and you can also see your active conversations. And if you click on your active conversations, it'll bring up just a general chat window that you usually use to enter into video calls. So that's the main chat, and then there's the group chat that's on the video call itself, which is what you see to the right of your screen when you look at what we're all doing.
See, I don't even see a group chat on my screen right now.
Yeah, because there's been a few times where I get occasionally I'll get 2 posts for you. The invitation I get from you occasionally, I don't know whether it's intentional or not, is there's 2 separate invitations, and one's for the conversation, and that one doesn't take you directly to the Hangout conversation. It takes you to the Hangout page, and you have to find this session on it. And that is the page where we are seeing Stowe's attempts to contact us.
Okay, because I'm not seeing that. I just activated the group chat on my window, and I'm not seeing him there at all.
Here, I'll share my screen so you can see what I'm talking about. Let's see, just need to get to the right screen. Okay, so if you see my screen, there's this general Hangouts chat, and you can see in the lower right, or the right side of that is this is where I click to like enter in the video calls, and then there's the video calls itself, which is this.
Interesting. And you were successful in entering into the video call that way.
Yeah,
that's how I usually do it.
It's a bit more tedious than the usual way, and it takes an effort to find the right one. But once you click the camera, you're in.
So you never clicked the link in the invite that I sent you to access this?
I never have, no. Because usually when you make the call out to us, this is what rings, is this website. So I just wait for you to call.
Interesting. Well, I'm not getting any further text from Stowe. So the chat window that I'm looking at is a group chat that's happening within the screen capture. I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of that since we're all talking in here. And it's not capturing the group chat that's happening at the portal that you're at right now.
Yeah, I see the one where you just typed in. Now I see this group chat. Have you been able to ever do a Hangouts call with Stowe before, just like one-to-one?
Stowe was the one who started this, and
so that's not good.
And but what it is his school. He's trying to figure out if being on a different server was his problem at the school, and he thinks that he could possibly get in. Now I think it's just a matter of him getting over it technically. So maybe he and I will have to try something individually later on. Because I actually want to get some drawing done. And he's probably moved on to other things by now. If you haven't, Stone, you're still trying, send me a text. Do you see any comments from him in that other chat window? Because I don't have that.
I responded to him 2 minutes ago, and I'm not seeing anything back from. Wait a minute here. Oh no, that was Locke.
Yeah, nothing. He hasn't responded to any of the stuff, so
Okay.
I think he's moved on.
With any luck, he and I will get it sorted out so he can participate next week.
I know for me, I've done everything from like restarting my system to making sure I'm on Chrome, not Firefox or any of those other ones. Like now I think I got it dialed in, but you know, knock on wood, probably get disconnected just for saying that. So anger the Hangout gods.
Well, I was worried that once Google decided to get rid of Google Plus, that there would be an issue.
Oh, speaking of the tech stuff, has anybody had the bit of drama that with Mojave today?
I am a Windows user, so no.
What's Mojave, Bill?
Mojave is the latest version of OS X, and it did some really weird things to all my Adobe software this afternoon. I think I'm good now, but it had me nervous for a bit and was a bit worried if this was the final straw that would be forcing me either to adapt using Clip Studio Art completely or be forced to use Creative Cloud.
At a session where I was with Stowe in person earlier today, something in Tacoma called Freelance Fandango, we were talking about why some of us were using the cloud and why some of us weren't. The reason I'm not using the cloud right now is I have an older system. My Mac is an old cheese grater, and I haven't been able to upgrade to the latest systems. And so until I decide to get a new computer, I'm just going to stick with my current setup since it's all working just fine right now. But sooner or later, I'll get a client that's going to want to not have to deal with me saying, can you send that to me in an older format? Or if they send me a file that I can't access. I hate going cheap most of the time. I just find it better to, be the most current. I just don't want to, upgrade a computer unless I have to.
Mm-hmm.
When did you last buy a computer? How old is yours?
Oh, hang on, let me check. Well, I have a new laptop, but I don't use it. I use it for traveling. Let's see. When did I buy this cheese grater? What does it say on the hardware?
Did you get on
Early 2009.
Whoa, that's dedication.
Yeah,
that's so it's coming up on its decade. That's pretty good.
That's it's currently running 16 gigabytes of memory. And I'm maxed out on the software at 10.9.5, whatever version that is. So the hardware won't go up any higher. What a bummer.
Well, like you said, it's it's doing the job. So
it's when it gets to the point where I can't do my finances on it. That's when you really need to start upgrading. That, and like I said, if in case a client comes in and this grasshopper thing has a green shell and blue eyes. Have any of you guys ever seen 5 million miles to Earth, or it's often called Quartermass in the Pit 2.
Not in its entirety, but I have seen bits of it. It looked like they were, because what I saw made it look like it was just models of grasshoppers.
It's actually a pretty good science fiction horror movie. I just got through rewatching The Flesh Eaters.
Don't think I know that one.
Oh, it's an old B movie. Matter of fact, a lot of people consider it the grandfather of gore movies
Oh.
because it was fairly grisly for its time.
An Italian film?
No, U.S. But with a monster that eats flesh and people rapidly becoming skeletons. It was a little ahead of its time. It developed a cult following because of it's kind of a combination of bad acting and pretty good special effects for I also watched, I'm trying to remember the other B movie I watched the other day. Oh, The Attack of the Crab Monsters. It's amazing how many of these 50s horror movies take place on a remote desert island.
I think I'm getting it mixed up with the Harryhausen version of Mysterious Islands, but I know I've heard the title.
Yeah, you definitely are. That's the quality. It was one of Roger Corman's first films,
Mm-hmm.
and it mainly pulled a profit because of the unique title it had. Who wouldn't want to see The Attack of the Crab Monsters?
It keeps reminding me of there's this the Onion's video news shows where they were having fun with commenters talking about how people were being unjustly paranoid about mutant crabs.
Have we talked about how my generation was raised on a diet of shows in which people fell into quicksand almost every week?
I don't know about every week, but I do remember seeing a lot of them.
Well, I remember watching Gilligan's Island and seeing that, but yeah, it doesn't happen too often nowadays.
Oh, yeah, because by all accounts, it's completely a myth.
Actually, I was just watching. Oh no, I'm mixing up my movies. For some reason, I'm mixing up the Artax sinking in the mud scene on Never Ending Story with the Princess Bride with the quicksand. But yeah. Anyway, like quicksand. It's in the movies. That's my new slogan. I'm putting that on a t-shirt.
That'd make a great t-shirt. The one t-shirt I was trying to find, it was this beautiful design, but whoever was making it stopped printing it about 4 years ago. And it's I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay.
Uh-huh.
And there's a lot of other ones that say the same thing, but this one had kind of a three-quarter silhouette, 1950s looking lumberjack with this beautiful scroll work in the background that's almost like a beer label. And the whole thing just picked up the vibe just right. Couldn't find a copy of it anywhere because my wife loved the design and wanted her to get her the shirt. But I think short of recreating the design myself, I think it's come and gone.
Hmm.
You know, I'm sorry to say I'm not getting it. I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay. What's
Never. It's a Monty Python sketch.
Oh,
Lumberjack and I'm okay. I sleep all
Work
night and I work all day. Chop down
Making fun of
trees,
Canadian.
my lunch. I go to the lavatory. Bill, second course. You can do it.
Yes. Oh, wait a minute. You were having me do the bit?
Yeah,
where
having you do the second course.
Oh, Bevis, I thought you were so rugged.
The movies.
No, you definitely have to watch the skit, the lumberjack skit.
Uh-huh.
It's a classic.
Yes, he didn't want to be a barber anyway.
I don't think they're going to get it, Bill, unless they.
I love how you guys just broke into song, though. That's amazing.
That's the skit. It's this lumberjack singing with this chorus of other lumberjacks, and
No, it's not other lumberjacks. It's Canadian Mounties.
That's right. It's making fun of Canadian Mounties, making fun of Canadian. Leaping from tree to tree.
I was wondering if the trans community would, have it as like a trigger.
That's right.
These days.
Because later on in the song, he starts singing about he wears high heels and, all this other stuff, like his dear papa.
Yes.
And the Mountie all of a sudden's like, what? They walk away.
Oh, it's sort of like on weekends I wear women's clothing, panties and a bra, something else, and then dear papa.
That's right. Just like my dear papa.
And then the Mountie's chorus kind of falls away as they're not really going down this.
Yes, as his girlfriend, who I'm pretty sure was Carolyn Chapman. No, Carolyn just breaks into tears. He said, "Oh, Bevis, I thought you were so rugged," and she leaves with the Mounties. Oh. Speaking of that, has anybody seen The Death of Stalin?
No, I haven't.
I want to know how you drew a line from singing Mounties.
Because Michael Palin plays Molotov.
Okay, there we go. So that's your 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon is.
All right.
Just curious.
Mm-hmm. No, there was a method to my madness.
We need to come up with the epic sketch time drinking game where, obviously we can't do movie references because we're just gonna get people plastered. But, getting Bill to break out into song, I think that's worth a shot. Or just like
but it's
up to that
rather, I'm actually being amused because there's always a standing rule in our clique saying friends don't let their friends quote Python, and here we have people who are so out of the loop that they're not catching any of the references.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You know what would be a good one is like Ian not knowing what you guys are talking about. That'd be a good shot.
I mean, yeah, nice going, Ian. I've been successfully avoiding my midlife crisis until you start going on about these things.
Don't get me wrong. I love Python. I've just only seen the movies. I've never seen the episodes.
I'm trying to think if they did the lumberjack in any of the movies.
I believe they did it. Well, they did it in Live in the Hollywood Bowl, and I'm pretty sure they did it in And Now for Something Completely Different.
That's correct.
So this weekend, I did the Billingham Comic-Con.
Yeah, how was that? I saw a lot of pictures from you.
Yeah, Billingham Comic-Con is it's a very small one-day show, but for nearly everybody who goes, it is a good show. Part of the reason is, it's a one-day show. It's over and done with. You can drive up, you can do it, and be home that evening. It used to be a little bit better because there weren't as many conventions as there are now. So you'd have people coming down all the way from Canada, people who couldn't make it to like Emerald City would go to it, who lived, north of the border. But now there's about since then, about 3 or 4 different conventions have started up in Vancouver. So we don't have that. I mean, I used to keep Canadian money in my box, and I still have some Canadian dollars. I wish I had taken them because I had some nice Canadians this time. Asking if we'd take cash, and I said, I'll take cash, but anymore, everyone pays with credit cards. So.
It's 5 o'clock.
This Friday, I'll be doing the Night Gallery show, which is an evening thing in Bellingham from 5 to 10 p.m. that kicks off the Billingham Horror Movie Film Festival.
Nice.
So there'll be people who do a lot of horror-related vending will be at that convention.
Is this coming up on like the end of the convention season for you, or is it is it pretty much just like all year round that you guys always have like shows and stuff that you can go to? Because over here, surprisingly enough, it seems to be the summer, like for most of the shows and everything.
If you go across country, you could go and do a convention every weekend, and you can pick and choose which ones you do. The last big one for me will be in the first weekend of November here in Tacoma, and it's Jet City, and I think it's either a 2 or a 3-day show.
2, or was it 2 last year?
Well, there was some word about them breaking it out to a 3-day show. So I'm sure a quick internet search will yield results on that. But that will be my last show of the season. I do know some people that they do things like Audimal or a couple other things in the beginning of December to catch that Christmas crowd. There are other shows that you can do. Let's see, there are shows for writers. In the Northwest, we've got a convention just for the Supernatural series, and it's a big convention. But unless you have some Supernatural stuff, you're not going to be selling a whole lot as a vendor. We also have a show for Harry Potter fans. Another one that's strictly for British science fiction. And
I heard that one's bomb. I heard that one died recently.
Anglican died?
Something. I was hearing it come up in the very recently, some bad investments and stuff.
But there is, if you're on Facebook, there's the International Artist Alley Facebook page, and there's also, I think it might be by invitation or it may not be, but there's the League of Northwest Artist Alley Vendors, and they list every single show that's happening in the Northwest area, and they all group together to share information like that. So if you're looking for more shows in your area or your state, look on Facebook and see if there's an artist alley or a artist vendor group for your particular state and see what pops up.
Have you guys ever heard of an illustration conference called what is it, Lexicon or something? Let me look it up.
Well, let's see. I've been to Icon and I've been to some designer conferences, but I haven't been to any illustration conferences.
Yeah, well, it is called Lexicon. I looked it up. I just remember when I was at the IMC, they were saying that was the one to go to, and I get the feeling that that's like where those Wizards of the Coast illustrators and, like, you know, the book cover illustrators and stuff go to.
I wonder how much table is at those conventions. Now,
yeah, I can tell you.
a convention that I go to is for the International Visual Practitioners Forum, which is the IFVP. And it is a working convention. There's no vendors table. I mean, there's a place where you can go and buy books that other people there have written. But for the most part, it's all about people doing training sessions with other people. So you pick what training sessions you went to. That's how I learned to do whiteboard videos. And then a couple years later, I was the one giving the presentation on, okay, here's how you do whiteboard videos.
And so it looks like Lexicon is over in Lexington, Illinois, and it's a tabletop gaming convention. So Dungeons and Dragons, Magic the Gathering. That's why there's the illustrators over there, I guess, because, you know, they're all trying to get Magic the Gathering jobs and stuff like that.
Bill, what's the big gaming convention one here?
PAX.
Oh, I know about PAX.
But oddly enough, not a lot of artists. It's really not set up for artist alley or vendors of any sort.
Yeah, I've heard some real horror stories for anybody who's not one of the big names.
It's really set up more for people who like to play games and talk about games and buy games. But there's enough pop culture conventions. Like there's one happening this weekend that I didn't sign up for because I was signed up for way too many conventions already. And it's called Geek Girl Con.
Oh, hadn't heard that was coming up. I should have.
Yeah, that's going to be this weekend.
Huh.
So you were going to try to get a table like Geek Girl Con?
Yeah.
Huh.
You were? No,
No.
I think it's a little late this year.
No, I'm not. I'm sorry. I thought he was talking to you there.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I've never actually gone. I should look to see what the walk-in prices are.
Now, I've tabled at Geek Girl Con before, and I've had pretty good results.
Okay. Now, see what you all think here. I'm not completely sure about the feet, and I think I probably need to work on Caitlin's face just a little bit more, but otherwise I think I'm ready to color.
Uh-oh.
Yes?
Bill, is it just you and me? Did I lose everybody else?
No, I'm still here. Hello.
Hello?
Okay. Sorry. For a moment, I thought I lost my hang-up, but I didn't. Okay. I've got two screens going. Well, okay, go ahead and show it again, Bill.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure about the feet, and I may need to tweak the woman's face a little bit more, but otherwise, I think I'm ready for color. Thoughts?
I think it looks pretty good, Bill.
Cool.
Yeah, I like what you've done with the face on the tree.
Mm-hmm.
It's working well. I just hope that the color doesn't take away from that because the lines are so thin compared to everything else.
Right.
But I mean, that's probably intentional to the scene, right?
Yeah, and I should be able to get away with it because other than the sap, the weirwood wood is bone white.
I think for the most part, like the only part that's kind of standing out for me is the rock that he's sitting on.
Yes.
Because you got a lot of lines in there. So you have like his cloak, you have the roots.
Right.
Then you have the cracks in the rock. I don't think it needs that level of detail.
I think that if he went into the cracks and instead of having them black, just made them like a dark gray later on.
Right.
And used that as a line element. I think that's if you're doing your branches later on, and all the black tends to be a little bit too heavy. You can also do that to the leaves. Just put in a really dark green outline instead of black on the leaves.
Okay.
But for now, I would say color it up and then go at like all that detail on the bark.
Yes.
I would expect that those blacks would be a really dark brown that you would go back into and fill those with.
Okay, and great. I'll start working on the solids then.
Yeah, I would start doing, your basic fills first, and then when you go into your accents, then start deciding which way to go.
Locke, I didn't ask, but what are you working on today?
I am working on a pinup for this anthology that I did 8 pages for. So it's I'm trying to do a little bit of funny about some guy sitting there and his drink gets knocked over by something bigger.
Okay.
And so it's basically we had this pub crawl anthology that was launched just about, I forget how many days now. It's probably been 5-10 days now, and we're trying to raise about $8,000 to get printing. Then apparently we reached it really quick. So, and that's where we're at right now. It's called the Pub Crawl Anthology on Kickstarter.
Are you guys doing any stretch goals?
The stretch goal is, I think anything above that will go directly to issue 2. I think there's 12 stories in this book at 8-page. I guess 100 and something, 136 pages, I think, or something like that. So yeah, there's 12 artists, 12 writers, and inkers and stuff like that. Yeah. The stretch goal is pretty much if we go above that, whatever money, if we reach, I think 14,000, we get page rates. I don't know what the page rate is, but for me, it's just I'm jumping in to help out a friend. I did 8 pages of that, so like, you know, this is literally just a few days ago. I just finished like something like this, right? So this page here.
That's what you were working on last week, wasn't it?
Yeah. Just, you know, polishing it off, getting it as quick as I can, get them in now. It's in the letterers' hands right now. But other than that, I think everybody else is done way before I was. So yeah, I was pulled in about 3 weeks ago compared to everybody else that was pulled in way before then. My buddy Chris from Tampa, he writes little short stories and stuff like that. And he wrote a script. I worked with him before. He asked me over the summer if I want to work on this anthology. I had to turn him down because of the con season, you know, no time and all that stuff. So yeah, and just about 4 weeks ago, I think, he asked me if I can fill in because the artist they had dropped out on him, right? So like, I don't know, halfway through or more than that, because something happened anyways, and he dropped out. And as a favor, I just jumped in and tried to get all 8 pages and, you know, the whole bit. So now I'm doing pinups. Then at the same time, they asked me if I can do, like, I forget what tier the rewards were, but I'm going to do about 10 pen and ink sketch, like commission, 8x10, I think so, for whoever it is that's going to, the backers anyways. So that's one of the tiers. And I was asked to do a pinup just in case they might need to fill in a couple pages or something like that. So that's what I'm doing right now, is doing something a little bit funny, you know, some sort of, it has to, the whole concept is everything takes place in a bar. And I guess the Kickstarter itself has things like drink pairing based on the story you read, you know, all this other stuff. Multiple of the rewards will be coasters and stuff like that too. So it's kind of funny. So, but it's working out pretty fun.
That's pretty cool. You could help your friend on such short notice.
Yeah, it was, you know, con season for me is winding down. My last one is, I think, November 17th. That's the last one because I need to get some work done with new materials. I'm hoping to get these 8 pages and some more for the next set of, I'm part of a little sketch or a comic group in Toronto. We just did a Kickstarter called Cauldron. It's more like a homage to like Epic Magazine or Heavy Metal Magazine, where it'll be sci-fi, supernatural. It's just a magazine, and we just did a Kickstarter, and that went really well. But we only printed like 500 copies, and that's all we have. And but we're trying to do this quarterly, and I want to get that ready for April, I guess, for the next, where I can actually go to these things called, in Toronto, we have this huge con, I guess, held by the Toronto Library called the Toronto Comic and Art Festival, or TCAF. Yeah, it's pretty huge. They invited a lot of international artists and stuff to show up, and it's all independent books. Like, to get in, you have to have a book, right? So it's pretty big, and it usually happens on the weekend. I mean, if you look it up, TCAF, I think .ca, or just Toronto Art and Comic Book Festival or something, or Comic Book and Art Festival, sorry. If you look that up, you're going to find that it's massive. It's like exciting because they have workshop for authors. Like before the actual opening of the show on the weekend, they usually have these things where they call Professional Day, where like Scholastic, these publishers will come in looking for new talent, or or stuff like that, or new books, and that's what they're there for. And it's kind of fun too, because you get to meet other publishers, you get to meet other people who create anthologies, creators from around the area, most of them from, wherever they come from. It's like meet and greet. It's networking, really, for a professional day. So.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good conference.
Yeah, it is. It's really it's a lot of fun. A lot of the time I go there because it's just interesting that because it's supported by I guess the Cultural and Art Center, especially the library here in Canada, where they're trying to promote more reading and more independent. Because of issues with copyright laws in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
In Canada, we're a little more relaxed, where we try to share materials instead of trying to copyright stuff. And teachers and like anybody with a story you want to tell, this is where you go in. If you're an artist, graphic designer, you meet other people, and it encourages you to do stuff that besides just comic book. That it takes you out, like doing graphic novels, short story format, kids books, whatever it is, and And most of these things, if you show up at the library, they'll take some off your hand. They'll put it on the shelves, which is kind of nice, right? So yeah, it's a good chance for anybody who's new or has a story to tell that is different. You know what I mean? Like everybody has a story, right? So it's just something we encourage, and it's more of an art thing than anything else, right? So yeah, that's what I'm trying to get into. I think we're going as a collective next April. I think April, May. We're going to go in there, and we'll have a table, and we'll show all of our books, right? And we'll try to push that. Then if I think one of the pitch I'm working on, 12-page, I'm still waiting for the script, is to go to Scholastic because we met some people last year, and they're kind of interested in the story, but they want to see artwork and stuff. So again, that's something that's kind of nice to have, right, under your belt. So yeah, but that's what I'm working on right now, is just pub crawl anthology. Trying to do at least one pinup, and I'm kind of done for the season, and so I can actually work on pinups and other stuff for my con year. Sell more prints and stuff like that.
Do you think Canada has more opportunities for artists in the U.S. based on like that climate and that atmosphere and the copyright laws?
I think it's a little, in the U.S., pretty much everything's owned by Disney or one of the big media conglomerate, right? They take a lot of the public domain, and they do something and they copyright the heck out of it. So in Canada, well, it's just not Canada. Canada is the hub of it. You got people from, like last year, we had some manga artists from Japan just coming over like crazy, and they were special guests and stuff like that. They talked about their process. They had translators, they sold books and stuff. And, I had people from like different part of the world just coming because it's kind of like a collective. This is more of an educational thing. You'll see teachers there. You'll see teachers how to get kids to read, how to, either web comics, and they're providing tools, companies showing up with tools and stuff like that. Clip Studio was even there, just promoting the software, you know what I mean? Those kind of, Adobe was there, that kind of stuff. So it's gotten to that point where because like to get a table there, the requirement is you need to be like, you can't go there every year. You have to have a new book, and they only let you go like twice in a year, and you got to be, then they have to give other people chances too, right? So I forget how many years, but you can't go back more than 2 years in a row. Let's put it this way. So because a lot of time they were looking for new people to showcase, and they have a huge bookstore that they'll buy the books and they'll put them on the shelf, and so it's kind of neat because if you get in, you'll at least you're guaranteed to sell 10 books to the library, and the library will put it in their book shelves or something like that. So it's
now a lot of libraries will allow you to table free. But the free people come in. So is this like a free table or?
Yeah, this one is I think it's free because there's if you look at the library itself, it's a reference library. It's huge. It's like 10 stories or something like that. I think the first floor is they charge people for it. The third and fourth, I think it's free. It's smaller table. Like you can't just go there and sell craft, right?
Right. It has to be a book.
It's got to be a book. It's got to be independent book. It's promoting books and stuff. I mean, you can bring prints and posters along and stuff, but you're really selling books, and there'll be people walking around looking at your book and say, "Oh, that's cool. Can I get rights to that?" Or, you know, that's more like that than, you know, then on the weekends is when they open it up for the public, where a cosplayer would come in and stuff like that. But again, you're just buying books, right? And people will sell buttons too, but really your material there's passing a book. Then for me, this whole summer, I've been doing these local libraries here. The Toronto Library have these other local libraries on the area. They have these thing called fan cons, where again, you know, they invite independent artists, local artists and stuff to come. The table is free for those smaller cons. They bring the kids in, they have story times, you know, face painting, stuff like that. And, you know, and that's where you can sell your wares, your t-shirts and stuff like that too. But again, it's all promoting reading. I made a bunch of bookmarks, you know, Pikachu bookmarks, and I was just handing them out left and right. I was invited as a special guest to do workshops for digital painting, introducing parents to digital painting and explain to them, you know, what requires for, you know, what career path kids can now go in doing art like this, like we do, either telling stories or something like that. And they have like Marvel Comics, you know, Templeton and all that stuff. The Toronto-based artists who are there too, also doing workshops and stuff like that. So it's more of a fun time than anything, and it's almost every weekend the whole summer because, you know, summers the kids are off and everybody's around, right? So yeah. Then November it becomes a lull, you know, and nobody drives around in the winter unless you go down to the U.S. This is where falls, or I guess New York, all the stuff down further south, right? It's out of the border, and that's where a lot of my friends end up going this time of year. For me, I'm taking a break. I gotta, you know, promise some times with the family. But yeah, going back to the original question, I think it is. It's actually really fantastic. I don't know if a lot of libraries in the U.S. are doing this now or not, trying to get people into the libraries, especially things like fundings are being cut short and all that other stuff. So, you know, I don't remember libraries being like that when I was living down in Costa Mesa, right, California. Right.
In the Tacoma, we have a thing called Comic-Con.
Yeah.
And they're trying to break things out, but it's very localized. They're not able to bring in anybody from, you know, they're not paying to bring in people.
Yeah, a lot of this is there's no paying of these guests either. Just last week alone, it was called MCX, the Mississauga Comic Book Convention, and to apply to get into that, again, you have to have there's comic books and books to get in. You can't, like, if I would try to apply it in there the year before, because I didn't have a book, they wouldn't let me in because, you know, all I can do was sell prints. That wasn't the point, right? You have to have a book. And again, it's really big. You know, they draw a lot of crowds, and they do bring local artists. I believe, I'm trying to remember who. There was like local, like Marvel comic book artists, DC artists, and stuff like that. They invite them. I think it's the local comic shops who kind of put them up, or the library does put them up somewhere. But they do invite them, but I don't think they get paid. Like, you know, they don't command large sums or anything like that. It's mostly gets them up and they get drawings for free. And if you can buy, you know, they'll do some commission here and there. But like most of the library cons, I mostly sell buttons than anything else, and a couple zines. Then my comic books, you know, I only have a short supply of that. I sell them for $10, and you know, people buy them. But other than that, you know, prints don't really sell a lot of, right? Because it's a library. Parents bring in kids, and they usually have $2 or $5 or something like that. So yeah, it's small items. It's small items, but yeah. The whole point was to promote reading and promote, you know, just the library itself. You know, the libraries have a lot of anime books, comic books, graphic novels on their shelves that you can actually borrow and check out, which is amazing, right? Because that's what my daughter's into manga, and I pretty much take her every Friday to go get new books. I mean, she's just a ferocious reader, right? And they're just like a full stock's there, right? Sometimes she has to wait, but you know, yeah, based on the popular series, but yeah. Cool.
Nice. Yeah, I don't think you were here when I was telling about that I did something called the Lakewood Book Art and Film Festival. And it was just their first time doing it. So they were just inviting writers to have tables, a lot of local writers, but even though it was a free table, they didn't have more than 700 people come to this 3-day event. So it was tumbleweeds, you know. It's hard to get excited about something like that.
Yeah. It's a shame though, because a lot of the, I find a lot of the fun cons are, you know, are US based. I remember going to a lot of those. Then I come up here and they're rare and in between. Now they're kind of like the libraries are kind of pushing it more. You see more of that. And, you know, just this year alone, I saw a lot. I mean, the year before, maybe 1 or 2. Now it's a lot more, right? And all the libraries here are, they're talking to each other, right? They're you get into one library, you're guaranteed to get into another. They'll ask you to go to some other town here and there and all that stuff. And you know, I bring in flyers. I bring up Kickstarter flyers. They allow me to leave them, right, on those days. And they, you know, as an added bonus, you know, I make bookmarks that I give away, right? With my little, they're more like business card bookmarks, large bookmark format, 2x6 or something like that. And the kids just, you know, I put something fun on it. And I have our other artist friend who gives out blank ones where they sketch on it, right?
Yeah.
So it is a lot of fun for the kids and stuff like that. And for me, it was a good chance to get my name, like more of a branding portion of me. I've started, like just a couple weeks ago, I got interviewed by the local news, right? So, you know, even though I only showed up for like 3 seconds out of
Oh yeah, you had the link
the whole segment, but it was good enough to know, and everybody's like, hey, we saw you, you know, it was on Instagram, and people was like, hey.
Yeah, I was once on a local television show down here called Evening Magazine.
Right.
And, well, I didn't see a whole lot in the way of a bump of online, excuse me, sales. I did have a lot of people saying, oh, I saw you on TV. That's great. So yeah, definitely some exposure.
It just gives you that little bit of credibility, right?
It does.
For me, it's more of you know, now I'm being invited to little comic book shops to do signing. Like this weekend, I'll be out in a place called Gotham Central. They wanted some awards for, you know, Joel Schuler?
No.
Joel Schuler is Canadian. He's the guy that came up with Superman.
Oh, awesome.
We got an award for him. They name an award after him, and it's for customer service, you know, for web comics. They have all these categories, but it's mostly Canadian based. And so they won that, and they asked me to go out, and I'm going to be doing what they call a Halloween Indie Fest, right?
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and the whole comic shop is fantastic because it's, you know, they sell candies and other stuff, and there'll be, I think, 15 of us artists all crammed into this like massive it's not a small shop; it's a large shop. And we'll be doing sketches, but a lot of it is all of us were all independent indies. It's all indies. No Marvels, no DC, no Image, no stuff. It's all indie. So bring your Kickstarter books, bring your stuff, and that's they're trying to push that, right? So and the comic shop gets a lot more exposure. They're giving away comic books like left and right too at the same time. Those free comic book day books.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, it's a fun weekend, right? I'm going to be there from I think 11 till 4 or something like that. So those, right? Then there's a bunch of other ones downtown Toronto too. A place called the Silver Snail's doing the same thing. Yeah, it's Silver Snail's been I forgot, man. I remember going to Silver Snail when I was in like 30 years. It's 30, 40 years comic book. The store has been downtown Toronto forever, right? This is the classic store, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's they're doing a lot of that now. They're trying to push more indie creator. They're finding out that a lot of indie creator, and you'll find out too that a lot of the even though they're Marvel, DC writers and stuff like that, like Jim Zubs and all that stuff, he's from here. He's from Toronto, right? So Ty Templeton, I finished a comic book boot camp with him. Learned a lot from his.
I know.
Yeah,
great.
Yeah, he's fantastic. He's I took his class, and it was more for my. I had some books of his. Got it signed, of course. It's on my wall here, but yeah. But yeah, I was hoping like a figure or something like somebody out in Portland would probably have a lot of comic book scene too, right? So.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
And all the more so now that they have some pretty big corporations based there.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, it's been another hour that's gone by faster than you could possibly imagine.
Yeah. Oh, one last look for the flats here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I like your color palette. It looks good.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about the costume, but I figured lay it down and then correct it later,
The red is really dragging my eye up to the top corner.
Okay, I'm thinking I think I want to switch to something a little more blood red.
Okay.
What I would suggest you do, Bill, is leave that red how it is, and then do another overlay over the top of it, where you can vary the opaqueness. Like put a reddish green on top of it, and then mess with that variant.
Okay.
And, just moving that dial up and down, just so you don't spend all your time seeing, okay, I wonder if this one color, like if you take a look at my image right now.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So what I have is, let me just, hang on. So this is a very hard blue, but it's not going to end up being blue. I'm just going to go up to my opacity and knock it down to a green that I want, but I'll deal with how far of a green. It might be just as simple as this. But I'm now going to do a layer that's going to be yellow up in areas over here instead of doing a tint. I'll probably go back in and do a tint of just solid white and do the same treatment over the top to kind of give it a layer thing. And then once I have those fills in, just mess around with all of them, moving them back and forth until I get a combination that works well with the background that I have in the back. I'll go with a warm background because this is sort of like in a honeycomb chamber, and see what really makes this whole scene pop. So I suggest you do that with your leaves, and that way you might spend a little bit of less time trying to get the color just so for now. Anyway, gentlemen, thank you, Bill, for showing us yours. Let's take one last look around. Ian, let's see what's on your screen.
Oh, sure. So
Nice.
Yeah, I realized that I didn't sketch this out correctly, so I need to change the character. But otherwise, it's close to being done. Get another one finished and start on the next one. So.
And one last look at Locke's pinup.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'll start doing something. The secondary characters, I think I need to rework a little bit, maybe. Put him a little bit more. I want to make him look tougher, but he's afraid of this guy for some reason. So.
Well, gentlemen, I'll see you all next week.
Okay.
Take care, guys.
Take care.
Yeah, bye.